Hang on, we are about to rock and roll with another eclipse. This is the solar eclipse. It is in Scorpio in Vedic Astrology on December 4th. This is the culmination in a pattern that's been going on for over the last year. It's the last eclipse in this pattern. It is an eclipse of the sun, of the soul. This is a deeply transformative. We are being called to release, to let go. It's a shadow period of time. It is not supposed to be a time of clarity. It is a time of things going on underneath the surface, things coming to the surface, and release, let go. Hi, I'm Prema Gurreri, and welcome to Chart Your Path. I am so glad that you're here. This is an intense period of time. I completely want to support you. If you have not subscribed to the channel already, please hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell notification, and if it's resonating for you like this, and if you haven't yet taken the Sacred Wealth Code Archetype quiz, grab that right now in the link that's in the comments. It's also in the description below. So mark your calendar for the solar eclipse on December 4th, and it is in Scorpio in Vedic Astrology. Now, this is the last eclipse in the Scorpio Taurus eclipse pattern that we have been having. The nodes of the moon will stay here until March of 2022, but this is the last trigger point. This is the last eclipse. Eclipses are storms. They are churning of the soul and the consciousness at a very deep level. They're causing us, asking us to grow, causing us to grow. Now, this is the sun with the south node of the moon. This is K2, the mystic, and the great leader. Now, this is all about loss or liberation, and you get to choose. The ego looks at what we're called to let go of as loss, but the soul looks at that as liberation. You get to frame this, and I really want you to notice, where have you felt like there has been loss over the last year and a half almost? Where have you feel like or maybe have you seen that you've gotten some freedom, you've gotten some liberation? It's not necessarily an easy process, but it's important for our soul growth. Now, the mystic, which is also the south node of the moon, is all about spirituality, liberation, enlightenment. It wants us, in fact, it's the most, it's not actually a planet, it's the node of the moon, but it's the most spiritual aspect because it's completely relinquishing this world. Now, we do need to live with one foot in this world and one foot in the spiritual world. This is what helps us in the process of evolution to let go of the forms, that whether they're thought forms, whether they're physical forms that we're holding onto, and let them dissolve into energy once again so that they can be recreated and remanifested into something that more serves us, whether that's in your business, whether that's in your personal life. This is hitting you somewhere in your chart and you have been feeling it. So these are cyclical changes that happen over time. And that's why we always have several eclipses within an eclipse pattern. They last for a year and a half period of time. They're trigger points. We get these triggers. We get these, asking us to change. Sometimes it's a challenge. Sometimes it's a new opportunity. It happens in both ways. You will not feel the changes of this eclipse until after the eclipse. And in fact, with a solar eclipse, it's kind of like you're going down the road and eventually the road starts taking a Y, but you didn't notice you went off to the left or you went off to the right. After a little while, you're seeing things look different, but things look the same. What is this? You've taken a different path. The solar eclipses change our path, but this is the last one in this pattern. So it's a culmination of this shift, this change, this new direction that you've been taking, that your soul's been asking you to go, and you've had to let go of so much of your baggage along the way in order to move down this new path. But it is also, can feel lonely. It's, really take care of yourself during this time. And there's a lot of other aspects going on. So it's a complex period of time. If you haven't already tuned into my December update, I went through the whole month and laid out all the shifts and the complexity of this time and gave you tips on how to navigate that. It's important to understand the energy, because when you do, you know how to move with it. You know how to take it, what to take, what not to take so personally, when to make the right decisions for yourself, for your business, when to hold back from making those decisions, and when to just focus on your self-care. This is so important because we're getting bounced around during this time. The south node of the moon can also bring up things from the past and from the past life. So it's important to notice what's coming up and give yourself the time to process it, to do whatever clearing that you need to do, whether that's journaling, whether that's using a clearing process. I create lots of those for my clients because it's so important to understand how to release the energy that is coming up, whether it's writing it down and burning it, whether it's sitting with it and just asking that deep soul question of, what is it that I'm being called to let go of? What is it I'm being called to release? We'll ask some of those deep soul questions here within this update. Remember that eclipses bring about unexpected things, and you want to keep your life as simple as possible during eclipse time so that you have the bandwidth to address those unexpected things. Your awareness is your greatest gift. If you're aware, then you can see, you can make choices, you can hold yourself back from making choices. You have awareness. Use your awareness. Choose to be awake. Choose to be aware. So anything that you're doing that's numbing you out, to pulling you off track, it is time to release yourself from those things. We all need to go into this time with our eyes open, with our hearts open, and listening to the deep messages from your soul that are coming through. This eclipse is happening in Jesta, Nakshatra, in Scorpio in Vedic astrology. It is just as the eldest queen, it's the crone, it's that wise one. And that crone, that eldest queen energy, it just has that deep internal knowing that's come from beyond this lifetime. It is also ruled by Lord Indra, the protector of the heroes, and is also called the Dragon Slayer. Now, the north and south node of the moon are represented by the dragons, and Indra is said to defeat the dragon with courage and with cunning or smarts, with wisdom, not necessarily with physical strength. So this is a very important time to have a very clear consciousness, even though it's a stormy period of time, which tends to make our consciousness and the soul a little bit foggy. So we need to watch our attachment to leadership and how we lead and how we expect others to lead. World leaders will feel challenged. There will be some insecurity around leadership during this time. This is the great leader. This is the soul. This is the sun. This is what's getting eclipsed. The nodes of the moon are the only thing that have the power to cast a shadow between the soul, the sun, the consciousness, the moon. It's a very poignant period of time, especially being the culminating eclipse in this pattern. In Scorpio, it's deeply psychological. It's emotional liberation if we choose liberation. So we have to let go of our attachments. Don't let your ego get the best of you. Watch out for the trap of drama. That's one of the big traps here, is that drama comes up or we're creating some fear-based stories and we get stuck in drama. It's great if you're watching a movie, but it's not good whether it's dealing around, that you're turning something that's coming up, maybe with a client, maybe with a sibling, maybe with your partner, into more of a story than is actually happening. So we don't want to bring that emotional distress into the story and create more drama for ourselves. That creates more complication. You want to use your wisdom, not your reactions. How do you use your wisdom? You drop into your heart. How do you know if you're reactive? It's knee jerk. It's like that. When you have that knee jerk, that happens. When the doctor hits your knee, that response never goes all the way to your brain. It just hits the spinal cord. Well, if we're reacting, we haven't thought it out. It hasn't hit our heart. It hasn't hit our wisdom. Be sure you're breathing deep during this time. Be sure that you're opening up. Be sure that you're tuning in deeper than the perceived storm on the surface. Try to keep be careful of your perceived sense of importance. And that's for all of us. I know that I know if I'm looking and being judgmental, looking at that in others, then it's got to be in me too. So if we shift ourselves, we shift the collective. So let's spend more time shifting ourselves. It is time for us to know our own humility. It's not a time, otherwise, we're going to get caught in the ego during this time. And it's a time to look inwards. It's soul transformation. It's not loss. And you're going to say, okay, Prema, well, how about, what about, the fact I just lost this sum of money, or I just lost my home, or I just lost that important business deal, that important client. I lost my sense of empowerment or self. It can seem like loss if your ego is attached to that. Otherwise, we can go, okay, it was time for that to fall away. And because I'm willing to relinquish it, there is an opening for me to transform, transcend into something that's higher for me. So if we're aware and we're willing to allow the soul to do the work it needs to do and trust that and be as clear as we can with ourselves, then you're going to come through the other side of this so much better off. So much better off. So there is a clearing that can lead to something that is so much better. So there's some soul questions I want you to dive in with. There's some soul questions that I want to invite you to ask yourself. So if you want to go ahead and close your eyes and put your hand on your heart, take some deep full breaths, and tune into what are you looking to be liberated from? What are you really looking to be free of? Next soul question. What is your soul? And this is the backdoor question to the soul. If I tell myself the truth, what is your soul calling you to let go of? And finally, what might be possible for you if you really could relinquish this, if you really did let go and let go? What would be possible for you? I'd love for you to share any of your answers that come up for you. It's nice for all of us to see we're in community, that we're not alone. A lot of this similar stuff is coming up for you. These eclipses are happening for you in two distinct areas of your chart. But I guarantee, even without knowing those, that you are feeling them. For those of you who are guided by the lens of liberation, this will be a time to open to innovation that will lead you in a new direction during this turbulent time. Breathe, meditate, exercise, journal, dive into deep inquiry, have a deep conversation with somebody you trust. I encourage you to stay away from big crowds during the eclipse. Watch your travel. If you're traveling, give yourself extra time and extra space. Be careful of blaming. It's time to take personal responsibility. And in order to ascend, we must let go. We must let go of what's weighing us down. Right after the eclipse, we have Mars coming into Scorpio. I talked about that also in my December update, so I encourage you to grab that link to that video. That's down below. If you are wondering where this is happening for you, how are all these shifts and transits now and what's coming up for the next year here, you want to know what's the energy for you and how you can navigate it, I encourage you to book a soul success map reading with me. We dive deep. And it's not just information, it is transformation. It's a deep transformation and conversation that we'll have. And the link is down below. That's the Soul Success Map reading. It's a full Vedic astrology reading focused on what's most important for you, most important for your business, even if you are an entrepreneur. Now, for those of you who are more focused on, your wealth and your gifts and what are they and where am I stuck in my shadow and where and how am I wired up to create purpose and prosperity, book a Sacred Wealth Code reading, and that is also a deeply transformative reading where we dive in. You actually get your gifts, your archetypes, and you and I have a time together where we really deeply connect if you book for the live reading, and I answer your questions about your Sacred Wealth Code and help give you a plan. I don't just give information, I give transformation, but I also come down to soul-based practical strategy based on your chart that will work the best for you. And if you do want to have take deeper work with me as diving in as a conscious woman, visionary, and really want to take your mission, take your purpose to the next level, or step into it for the first time, even. But if you're wanting to take it to the next level, we need you. We need this kind of leadership. We need leadership from the heart. And I give you the energetics and also the business practicality based on your soul blueprint, the energetics of your soul. Book a time to have a chat with me and my team for the solutionary blueprint, and we will have a conversation to see if that is the right fit for you. So much love to you. I appreciate you liking this, sharing this, subscribing if you haven't already, and love to hear your comment below. So much love.